Hi, folks, it's just Paul. You know, every day that I live, I learn something. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you don't learn it all at once. I learned a trick here, and I'm glad I did. I don't know if this is crocodile tears, but you know, I collect German death cards, and I have not known what they say for the most part. There'll be a brief description on them, and it will tell you, like, what the basic thing is on it. He was a corporal or he was a private, and he was killed in 1943. Like certain things you can see. But I'll tell you, it makes me kind of teary-eyed. It really does. I will admit that to you. Now, are they crocodile tears? Well, I don't know. That's up to you and all of everybody to decide. I kind of think it is. Yet, I'm starting to understand the German people at that time. I'm starting to begin to understand the hubris. I don't think that these were real complicated people. They were following evil, and they didn't know it. Very similar to what's going on now, in my opinion. Evil. Masquerading as something really terrific. Oh, by the way, they needed your complete support back in 1939, too, in Germany. Your complete support. Not, well, you had a son that was gay, and, we had to No, they didn't want to hear about that. They didn't want to hear about that. It was all or nothing. You understand? You did what you were told to do and believe the way that they put forth that you should. That is coming here to this country, the U.S., because you're mindless idiots. My subscriber base excluded. Why? Because you're not smart enough to look at German death cards, because that kind of helps you. You get to see what the hubris is, how the people thought, what the current beliefs were at the time. Folks, did you know that you really had to be on board with this in Germany? It was so bad that you had to believe each and every thing. You had to. And there was no room for your personal zany ideas that Jewish people might be the same as you or I, or gay men may be just as valuable as you or I. There was no room for those kind of zany beliefs. And if you held those kind of beliefs, you would find yourself very quickly in a very strictly controlled environment. I'll leave it at that. Now, the reason I told you it's teary-eyed for me is because I found a way to translate these cards. I guess on some phones you have to load up the app, but with some things, some phones will have it. But you can go to Google Translate. See, Google isn't all bad. And what you can do is, I don't know, I guess it has to be loaded up on your phone. I don't know. Might be an app, but this one came with it. My other phone doesn't do it. It's this tablet that does it. And what you can do is you can hold a German death card up to it, just like this here, and it will read, it will translate into English what is said on the card, which is in German or Dutch or whatever you want to call it. And it doesn't always do it perfectly either. It depends. I'm going to read you this card. Okay? What's sad to me is that for a long time I believed that these were really evil men. I must tell you, and we're led to believe that. But I have to tell you something. Some of these men seem like they're decent men. I'm sorry to say that. Isn't that horrible to have to say that? I looked at one today, and he looked like Fred McMurphy from My Three Sons. You could tell this guy wasn't an athlete. You could tell that he wasn't, too hip to anything, but he was a good man. And folks, we're at the same place right now, at the same juncture. You mindless idiots are taken in. You're believing, and pretty soon, you're going to start having a little bit of reservations that you don't think that there should be some anal swabbing. But you see, that's not your place to say that. Maybe that's the best thing we can do to have air travel. Maybe that's the most accurate way to keep from spreading, is to have anal swabbing, like they did in China, which you never heard about because you're a mindless idiot and you're believing exactly what's put to you, and you're willing to go along and march to the tune. But pretty soon you're going to want to not quite march to that tune, and you're going to find out the lessons of World War II. And you know what that was? You did what you were told and expected to do. And there was no room for any other belief of any of your zany ideas, like perhaps not wanting to have anal swabbing. Why wouldn't you want to do that? If it helps protect your brother, you should be on board and telling everybody what a great idea this is. There's no room for your zany objections. You understand? You're mindless idiots. Now, you join the club here because that's what this is, the Mindless Idiot channel. I'm going to read this to you. Okay, I'm going to make this the last video of the night because it's already 10 o'clock at night. As a pious reminder, that's for this man right here. He's a German soldier. He was the age of 32 years old. It says Johann Musner, Zimmermann in Munden, corporal in a grenadier regiment, holder of the Eastern Medal, which means that this man had guts, because I don't even want to get into it with you about what they call Osten, I believe is how they say it. It meant the East. And their boss there, Adolf Hitler, expected them to have a fighting spirit which would overcome the lack of supplies and troops and artillery and intelligence and airplanes and everything else. And I'll tell you something, folks. These were brave men. You can slice it and dice it any way you want. They were brave men. And George Patton knew it too, because I read some of his statements, and he said that the German soldier was an excellent soldier. You just couldn't imagine going into Russia. You just couldn't imagine it. It was so freezing cold. It was so barren. Or if it wasn't barren, it was filled with cities that were nothing more than dilapidated buildings that were a death trap, and every time you turned your head. Johann Musner, corporal in a grenadier regiment, holder of the Eastern Medal, who was severely wounded on October 12, 1943, when things really were not going very well in Russia, because Adolf Hitler kept having people come into him and saying, we have a problem in Russia. We're not making advances like we were, and our troops are being cut off because we advanced too quickly. So now we're being cut off and surrounded. And Adolf Hitler simply told his advisors that the men, through their fighting spirit and their superior fighting will, would somehow overcome the day. And if you look at the country of Russia and Ukraine, Ukraine was part of Russia essentially, you get an idea of how could anyone have even tried to attack that area. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of square miles. And a tank is but a microscopic speck on the map. A microscopic speck. A tank. A big one. Because the area was enormous. And he kept calling for more and more troops. So out they went from the Air Force, and they would put them out into the infantry, and off to the east they would go. Just like on Hogan's Heroes. Schultz there, which means private in German, I believe. Schultz there, the guard that would guard Hogan and all the other prisoners there, the American prisoners. He was always threatened with that by Klink, his colonel there, Klink. And he would, he would say, Schultz, I will send you to the Eastern Front. And, he didn't miss many meals, that Schultz. He was a pretty big guy. And the last thing in the world he felt like doing was to be starved to death and frozen to death and shot at to death. And many times, because of the nature of how they invaded so quickly and were cut off, children and women and regular civilians were harassing them and killing them. They were called partisans, I believe. They were just civilians that were coming out and taking big rocks or a bow and arrow if somebody had one and launched it, and if you caught one through the arm, well, he had a torn up arm, right? Or he had a big bruise on the side of his head and didn't feel too good while they were trying to escape because they had penetrated too far into Russia and lost their supply lines, even though Hitler was telling them he did not want them coming back. He wanted them to hold the line, right? So I'll continue to read, and then we'll call this a wrap. I don't want to bore you with a World War II story. Suffice it to say, you had a madman at the top, Adolf Hitler. They tried to tell him, he didn't listen because he was smarter, he thought, than everyone else. In fact, he was not. He was not. Anyone will tell you that now. Hindsight's 20/20. Didn't listen. Same way as you mindless idiots out there. You want to believe. So go believe. When they tell you that two people are this, and they have this, and they have that, and it's dangerous, believe it. And just do what you're told to do. Because that's how this got a head of steam in 1937 and 1938 in Central Europe. Got it, folks? In a place called Germany. That's how this began. I only tell you about this. I know you can't absorb it. Most of you are mindless idiots. But you try. Make an attempt. Press the subscribe button. You might see that you don't know everything. My goodness, could you imagine you don't know everything? You're up to date on every single thing about what's going on right now. My God, you know more about it than anyone else. You turn on the TV, it tells you exactly what you should believe. And it's truth to you. So go believe it and do everything they tell you. You're mindless idiots. Okay? Be proud of yourself. The TV's going to tell you exactly what you need to do. Do it! If you wish. Okay, we will finish this out and I will call it a wrap. This man was severely wounded on October 12th, 1943 in a field hospital in Tasno, Russia. He died at the age of 32 years old. Okay? And we'll take a look and see where Tasno was. We'll see where it was. Take a look. And then you'll see how fucking huge that country of the USSR is. How huge. How many millions and millions and millions of men in armor and howitzers and guns and you name it, they would have needed in order to be able to succeed at what they were trying to do. This is the wife, I guess, that's giving a send-off to the man, and I will read it to you. And then we will check to see where Tasno is, if that's being translated out correctly. Sleep well, my dear, good husband, and dream sweetly of your short happiness at the same time. Lost is my greatest thing I had. Gone is love, hope, happiness. The wife's grief and pain are immeasurable. Whoever knew you, you will remain in vain. We will cry for a long time. This pain won't go away. Farewell from all yours until we meet again one day. Puts a human face to things. Essentially, mindless idiots, just like you, who were willing to believe the unbelievable, just like you idiots out there. They were willing to believe that a microscopically appearing tank on a country that they were going to invade that was thousands and thousands of... It was simply ridiculous. They believed it. So expect the same fate. And expect you to bring it on me too, even though I don't want any part of it. You understand? So let's continue on here. I'm only going to try to figure out where this Rosno is. Let's figure out where that is. Tasno, Russia. I think it says it's in the Crimea, which I'm not real familiar with. I can't find it, so I don't know, and I'm not sure that was the right pronunciation. That was translated from a death card. Hold on, I'm going to show you because I'm interested. I'll put it on pause. Oh, hey folks, I found it for you. Tasno is somewhere near Leningrad. There were two real bastard places that the Germans had to go through. One was Stalingrad and one was Leningrad. Those two were named, they were big cities and they were important cities psychologically to the Russians because it was the namesake of their leader. It would be like, forget about Trump, but it would be like Biden, the state of Biden or something, you know what I mean? So Stalin was the ruler there of Russia. Okay, so Stalingrad, that was a really bad place for the Germans because they couldn't whip it, and it absorbed millions upon millions of German deaths and prisoners, leading to death. And Leningrad was a bastard too. So just to show you and give you an idea, I want to show you on the map. Here's what it is, and I'll read it to you. And Tasno is spelled with one S, not two. That's what messed me up. Tasno is a town and the administrative center of Tastensky district in Leningrad, Russia, located 53 kilometers southeast of St. Petersburg. Okay? So it's not a super, super big town. It's showing it right there. Showing it. Right there. They spell it differently, I guess. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the map of Russia and show you what the German people believed from this madman, okay? How easy it was going to be to go into sub-zero weather and take Russia? Really? Really? Let me show you. Map of Russia, 1942.
Here are some pictures that match.
I'll see if I can show you, but just to, like, to give you an idea here. This is, I don't know if it'll show you, but I mean, like, you can't even imagine how big this is. And after you get through that red area there, you probably had another 1,500 miles to go until you got to Moscow. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Look at this. I mean, look at this. I mean, are you getting an idea of how enormous this was and how many millions and millions and millions of men and tanks it would have taken? But they believed what they were told. Because they saw it. They didn't have TV, though, at that time. So consider yourselves really smart. Now you have TV. You can tell they're not lying to you. Okay? Like these folks did. Anyways, folks, that's my piece for the night. Take care. And remember to turn on that TV and do exactly as you're told to do. Because there's no way that they could be lying to you. Ever! Bye.